It's my honor to introduce a good friend of the AFI. He is one of our nation's foremost film historians. This is one of his latest, The Path to Paradise, a Francis Ford Coppola Story. Sam Wasson, come on out here. So, Sammy picked this movie. So the question, why?
Yeah, I lost sleep a little bit. Not a lot. Wondering, because this movie always divides people. So if you don't like it, I understand, and if you do like it, I totally understand. One of the reasons I love it is because of more about how it got to be made than what's on the screen. Although what's on the screen is so beautiful to me, and what you hear is so beautiful to me. It's like a Fred and Ginger movie. You don't really go for the performances or the characterization. You go for the numbers. And this, even though they can't really dance, you go for the music and the visuals. Someone who didn't like the movie once said it was like eating dessert for 2 hours, which I think is very good. I think very good.
Francis is addicted to this ideal of live cinema and theater. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
One of the things that's important is how do we maintain, or in our current situation, resurrect the studio system? Because the studio system was a sustainable way of making great movies. It's infrastructure. We have a publishing business. We have publishers. We need them to make books. So it's not just reinventing the wheel every time. Well, it's the same thing with a studio. How do you make a studio in the modern world? How do you make it economical in a way that it no longer is? And Francis's answer to that was a production process called live cinema, which is analogous to the way they used to make television in New York and Playhouse 90. You think about all those great live plays in the 50s and early 60s. And it's basically putting on a play and cutting live. And it saves you post-production, which is a really expensive part of the movie. And so Francis intended to do this live cinema. It didn't happen that way, because Francis gets, Francis's great muscle and his great weakness is that he gets excited. And so he gets another idea and he wants to do that in addition to the other idea. It's not he puts the other one away. No, he adds that. More is more with Francis. And that's the great beauty of him. Of course, the other side to that is some people could say, well, he could have been more responsible. He's running a studio. There's a lot of lives at stake. And Francis ran out of money while he was making this movie. There's a terrible moment when he had to go to the whole studio and say, I can't pay you. I can't pay you. And it's a testament to his leadership that people worked for free. They worked for free. It gives me chills to even think about it. Imagine in today's Hollywood, people say, Doug, don't worry about it. I just believe in the Marvel Universe. I'm happy, take my children, move into my... No, but because they believed in Francis and what Francis was doing, they did it. And that's a Hollywood that was real.
It's an ideal realized,
Yeah.
because even as far back as 1919, United Artists, Chaplin, Pickford, Fairbanks, they were like, the artists are going to have greater control. Great. Then in the late 60s, there was First Artists, yes. And it was Poitier and Paul Newman and Barbra Streisand, your pal Dustin Hoffman, Steve McQueen, and they were like, we're going to make creative, and that kind of lurched and stalled. And then Francis was like, zoetrope. This is the new ideal, and he's still
Yes.
going. Let's talk about the end of the movie. Now, because there's no spoilers, right? We've all seen it. Who believes that she came back? or who believes he imagined that she came back? There's no right answer. But who believes that she actually came back, got off that plane? Okay, interesting. And who believes that he imagined that she came back? That's interesting, yeah.
Part of also why I love this story is, as you remember, Francis during Apocalypse, which is the movie he made preceding, right before this, and Francis, you've seen from the fabulous documentary Hearts of Darkness, is that his marriage fell apart with Eleanor. He wanted to make a movie where the marriage could come back together. And that meant to Francis not just making a love story, but creating a world where relationships could prosper. And that's a studio. You know, it's not the jungles of the Philippines while helicopters are, bombing. That's not a good place to, take a person out. But he wanted to create a romantic environment, and he did when he made this movie. But he still didn't get it. He still didn't get it. And I talked to Eleanor, and I said, did your relationship did this bring the two of you back together after Apocalypse? She basically said no. It didn't. If you look at Francis's love stories, you have to think a minute, are there Francis love stories other than this movie? Quiet in the room, I mean, Godfather is not, doesn't cut it.
The door shutting.
I would say the door shutting is right on the money. Yeah, and Eleanor knew that was her. I mean, Eleanor, she got it.
In fact, Diane said, yeah.
You heard Tom Waits had an album, and Bette Midler had a track on it. They sang a duet. It might be called Foreign Affairs. Anyhow, he was like, yes, Waits and Bette Midler. Bette Midler fell out. Crystal Gale came on. But what's cool, and to talk about Francis the Experimenter, is that Waits had never written a musical before and was terrified. And Francis had never made a musical. So they were both looking to each other to lead the way, but neither of them could. And from that came this. When this script was written, it was written by a fellow named Army Bernstein, who just wrote an even simpler love story than this, and it was set in Chicago, which was the city that he's from. And Francis said, love is a gamble. It should be in Vegas. In Francis's mind, Vegas and show business are so close together.